I don't throw darts at a board. I bet on sure things. Read Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Every battle is won before it's ever fought. Think about it. You're not as smart as I thought you were, buddy boy. Ever wonder why fund managers can't beat the S&P 500? Because they're sheep. And sheep get slaughtered.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Welcome, guys. We're basically for the last of the season. Obviously, we've been very good at this year, but this is going to be our last ever episode for this season's Skelly
and the Turk.
Yeah, so we're going to go through this season and see how we've all done and what's happened and the best and the worst, things like that. So, you know, there's no time like the person. Let's get going. So I think it's easy to start off with the probable, most likely, near enough, definite champion of 2015.
Well, just like Chelsea, there at the beginning, there in the middle, and there at the end. So here's to you, Richard.
Yeah, well done, mate. That's brilliant.
Nah, well done. Round of applause.
We have to doff your cap.
Yep.
We've all tried to fight. I mean, it got to a stage where we all pulled it back, but ultimately you gave us a little bit of hope within a few points at one stage.
It was week 30, wasn't it? Around that sort of time where I think week 32 when there was like 20 points between all of us, and it just got hot, and then suddenly Austin. It was Austin.
It was that day where you thought, I'm either going to lose it or you're going to win it in style, and you blew us out the water. You absolutely destroyed us. And you haven't looked back. So you can't argue with that. Most managers of the month, I would think. He's got more of those, has he?
I think so, yeah. I think he's got two, but then I've got a couple as well. I think you've got one, Dad's got one or two. But he's just consistently been there. He's been there since the beginning. Interestingly as well, actually, if you look at the end of August, so 2-3 weeks into the competition, Barnsley was first and I was second, and that's the way it looks like it's going to finish this time round.
Really?
So I guess what that does is it heightens the importance of a good start.
It does. It absolutely does. And unlike Tipper last year, when he had a fantastic start, he dipped over Christmas and then he picked it up again going into the spring. You haven't. You've just literally carried it on. I mean, there's been wobbles, you've had bad weeks, but you've pulled out some absolute blinders. There hasn't been a real time where you think you've bottled it. You've just had some bad weeks. We got close and then you pulled out again. So, like I say, congratulations, well done.
He just showed what a champion needs to do, and he needs to sometimes make the tough decisions, big balls, make the big transfers, get the people in. Sometimes make 3 or 4 transfers in a week. That's important. That's where some people may have lost it last year. Where was it Dad who was like top and he just didn't make hardly any transfers and kind of it fell away. And then I know sometimes with you. Sorry to bring it up, but you've been top in the past, and by not acting, you're basically.
Well, I did the opposite. You did
too much.
Yeah, last year I did too much. I made substitutions. I bottled it a bit, and I made lots of substitutions. This year I haven't. I've tried to keep it square. Admittedly, sometimes I've missed a deadline on 1 or 2 occasions, and I've had to go with what I've got. But sometimes I've purposely not made substitutions to bank those points. And it hasn't worked. No. It hasn't worked. I got rid of Aguero on the January transfer window where we had the wild card. Didn't get him back, and he started scoring again.
That was it. Yeah, and I did the same with Sanchez. I think he got injured, but then he wasn't injured. And then, for me personally, I won't talk about myself too much with it, but it was literally the last month and a half. I've never in the 5 or 6 years career of fantasy football have had injuries like I've had. Yeah. They've been stupendous injuries. Sturridge. I think Giroud got suspended or injured, and then Sanchez, Aguero obviously as well, and then it just seemed whichever little differentials I went for, then they got injured. So, a little bit of luck there involved, but at the same time, he's the right man, and well done. Triple champion.
It'll be his triple champion.
Yeah. So the well triple crown. Well done, mate.
I think that's a first, and so you're not going to get. You're not going to get overtaken.
He's now above the elite. He's in his own. So it just means basically whoever goes travelling around the world this summer we'll win. So anyone out there, it's up for grabs if you can just go and find yourself, basically.
Yeah, if you find yourself, come back and you're guaranteed a championship.
Yeah.
That's how it works. The stats don't lie.
If we look through the league then, so yeah, Barnes top. Over 2,000 already, so strong. Strong year. Some good captain choices. I'm 100 behind. So just over 100 behind. So take that, and then obviously the top 4 seems to be made of my dad. Which well done, Dad. You had an amazing season again, really consistent. Obviously yourself done well, but obviously a little hint of maybe the top 4 being broken.
Yeah, the thing about it is I've had some bad weeks. I mean, it's ironic that my last week was my worst week in fantasy football with only 20-something points, and Valerio had an astonishing week last week with 70+ points. I forget which. That got him into the semi-final of the cup, and I lost the cup, and that's given him a hope to take the top 4.
Well, once he focused from the league in a way to the cup, his form went through the roof. He made quite a few transfers, basically redid his team and just concentrated on the cup. And
there's 24 points now between Papa Youssef, myself, and Valerio. So it's not against the realms of possibility. If me and Papa Youssef have a bad week, that out of nowhere, Valerio could win the cup, because obviously a win would guarantee him a good points total, and possibly overtake both of me and your dad.
So he can come third and win the cup. Bit of an Arsenal.
Yeah, he could do an Arsenal, which is quite astonishing considering where he was to begin with.
Mid-table for the majority of the season. So fair play. There's been a lot of talk about on the group about how Valerio's entrance into the league changed it forever. The Wenger of the group. Basically, good nutrition. Good planning, good tactics.
Always look ahead.
Always look ahead. Yeah. Look at the forums, look at the websites, look at the podcasts. Yeah. And he changed the game forever. Barnesy, at one point felt, perhaps he's taken the fun out of the league, but I just feel that I think he's just risen it a little bit. And I think, yes, there's people like perhaps Colin, like my dad, or people like Duckett's mum, who may not win the league because they don't put as much research into it. But what this year's done is it's obviously brought the beauty of the cup, which anyone can absolutely do. But we'll come back to the cup in a bit, because if we look through the top 10, so you got Valerio 5th, but looks like he could get 3rd. Well done. Simon Dow, Kickass United, he's kind of been there and thereabouts.
Yeah, he's always been there, and he's always been capable of taking points. Like I say, we'll go back to the cup, but he's been there. That's always capable. We've always noticed him because he's had big weeks in the cup, and he's taken it off the bigger people in the top of the league. So he's always been there and thereabouts.
Scott Shaw's another one. Shaw's another one who's always been there. So he's 7th. At the moment, looks safe in 2nd. Colin, amazing considering. Doesn't really use the website or anything, just literally,
picks his team and goes with it.
Yeah, writes the names on the back of a fag packet. He doesn't smoke, but he would, if he did, he'd back of a fag packet. And then Steve Bolton, who is my brother's wife's dad, basically, done really, really well, just nice and quietly, top 10 as well.
Very nice.
So well done to him. And then Tipper, obviously, how the mighty have slightly fallen. From 1st to 10th is a big.
I would give him a bit thing. Like last year, he could concentrate on the league and look at what he's done. But this year, I think he's allowed his personal matters to overtake his fantasy football. Some people may call that neglect, but having a child and preparing for that might be a legitimate reason. I'll leave that to the viewers. I don't, But obviously,
kids ruin fantasy football. So there you go.
Well, look, first to 10th. I mean, that's look
at the top 4. Right, 3 of the top 4 haven't got kids.
No, absolutely
living with
not.
kids. So basically, it's just a case of, it's a distraction, unwanted distraction. My dad hasn't really got a kid. Obviously we've all left the. So you could argue to say all 4 don't have to live with kids.
All I'll say, I'm not in charge of Tipper's team, of course, but I just want to say to his board, David Moyes got sacked for less. So that's all I'm just saying.
And many are saying it's maybe a one-hit wonder, one-season wonder, perhaps.
Oh, you mean one-hit
like
wonder?
Like a Me Too.
Oh, like a Blackburn. Oh, Tipper could be the Blackburn of fantasy.
Be. Yeah.
Just turn up for one, spend lots of money.
Amir Zaki.
Amir Zaki. You know what? Prove us wrong, Tipper. It's not going to get any easier. But
next year.
You've got a 3-time champion. You've got Ish, who definitely wants that. He doesn't want to stay below Barnsley for too long, so he's going to be looking for that hat-trick of titles next year. He wants to get parity, so let's see. He's finished the league strong.
It's hard. It's hard to win the league, but it's harder to retain it.
Well, let's see then. Let's see who's retained. Have you retained before?
I retained arguably at the beginning when there was some kind of dodgy administrative, the authority changed a few things, but yeah, I've retained it. But that was when the league was a lot less. It's
and I just want to add a few of the most frequent and definitely the most vocal players, especially on the forums. Obviously, you've got Jo Duckett. Fantastic. She's got 13th, but arguably West Brom had a better season, and she didn't have to pick.
There was no Suarez.
So she's obviously had better players to choose from because obviously Suarez crippled her last year. So 13th respectable.
But outshadowed by a mother. And,
we'll get back to that. But
even in the league, 11th. So
well, that's fantastic. And then you've obviously got Danridge bringing up 11. That's 14th. Sorry, forgive me. Janet, that's yours 11.
Well done, 12th as well to Praveen. Good first season, so well done there.
Yeah. Your brother bringing up 15. That's
he lost the plot a bit this year. Yeah. He once again, the guy lives with 3 kids. I'm seeing a pattern.
I'm just saying, we don't have kids and we're in top 4. I mean, it's just one of those things.
And then but. I think we're going to get to it later. That you're disappointed by some people's performances this year.
Yeah, well, there was a few there's a few I've got on my list that I think need pointing out. It's not. I'm not going to berate anybody. I'm just going to tell her how it is. And I think there's players that could have done better this year. Is it their fault? Is there extenuating circumstances? Maybe, but the stats don't lie. I'll talk about it in depth, so I'm not going to put anybody on the spot yet. And there's some players that in the 6,000 teams we've got in this league this year. There's people that don't include themselves, so we're not going to really speak much about them because we don't know them. But there's other teams. I just want to put out a special mention to Chris Brown, who's bringing up the rear at 20 in the 25th and final position.
Wooden spoon.
And I mean, he's won it. He's won the wooden spoon by a long way. He's 300 odd points off 24th Chico. Time.
He got 12 points this week so far, so that shows a complete lack of interest in the league.
So I think there
he's
are
done well there to just lose complete that.
I'm pretty sure there probably are some players that don't even play in the Premier League no more that were sold in January. Yeah. So we'll see. But anyway, there's a lot of teams in this league. I don't know if it's gonna stay at 25. Maybe that's up to the commissioner to have a look at.
Yeah, the commissioner, who obviously will be editing this video as well, so we can't say anything nasty about him. The authority figure. He's looking to possibly expand the league. He wasn't sure if it would be diluted by expanding or whether it would make it more competitive. So obviously he'll talk to the chair of governors and come to a conclusion. If you look at near the bottom, there are some big hitters down there. Denise Barnes is a big hitter. 22nd, Taco Mills, John Mills.
Look at Neil Garrett. He's a big player. He's there.
Yeah,
I've seen him play before. Denise does get points. Rufus Red, she was a big fixture.
Matt Guy's another one. He's sort of been up there in the past. Obviously Ridgie will come back next year stronger due to the Watford promotion.
Yeah,
I think he'll actually start caring again.
He'll start caring now. He has an actual interest in the Premier League. I think is it Faye's first year this year?
I think so, yeah.
So, it's just testing the waters, seeing how competitive this league is, and I think you'll find that it's very competitive. I mean, but if you just look, for argument's sake, just picking one stat out of everywhere, is like he's got 54 points this week, and you look at the top 3 or 4, they're all on 20s and 30s.
So it shows an improvement.
So he's got the mind to do it. Obviously,
well, there's a certain adaptation needed in this league, okay, and in this game. You need to know how to deal with double weeks. You need to know how to.
I need to do that. That's something.
You need to know what formations to play, what sort of captains to play. You need to obviously look a bit into the fixtures, not just for this week, but also not look to the fixtures too much.
Of course not. I mean, you have to play for this week. But if you just look at, and I'll just bring up Faye because he's the guy that I'm just seeing at the moment. He's on 1,766 points, and this is his first season. All he needs to do is tweak a few things. 5 points per game more on average. He's bang up in the top. That's not a lot when you consider it's just about making the right choice. Do I go for that extra defender? Is that 4 points that you're going to spend on an extra transfer going to get me more points than I've spent? Those little decisions that you learn by doing. You don't learn by just guessing, you learn by doing. And I think he's going to come back. I think he could possibly be, he's a very vocal member of the forum, so I think he might be a real asset and a possible challenger for top 4 in the cup next year, I think.
Yeah, and there's a few new additions going to come in as well, possibly from my work and a few other people here and there who do take it quite seriously. Actually, we've got another West Brom fan actually.
Oh wow,
Giles Carter, who does quite well. So I think it's gonna obviously grow, and it's gonna become an absolute beast. And check out the YouTube channel. We're gonna be dropping monthly. Can you just pick up that bottle again? Your soul is mine.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
So we're gonna be dropping monthly sort of shows. Carlsberg will also be mine. But we'll be dropping monthly shows. I mean, we have been a bit rubbish, although we're not living together next year. But we'll get together.
We'll make it, even if it has to be video stream. We'll have a night that we'll try and do it every month. I think it's because self-admittedly we've been pretty crap this year. Sorry, I've probably been only
for the last 5 minutes. There's a possibility you've only seen half. Of Skelly,
you've probably only seen half of me, and I sincerely apologise if that's. There we go. But that's pretty much the league. It's
16 minutes already.
Yeah, I know. We've had good times. We've all had good games. We've all had bad games. I think it's going to be interesting.
Okay, back to the cup.
To see how it's going to go next year. So we'll go to the cup because that's still really relevant. And let's start with the obvious. Wow.
I mean, Skelly first, out. Barnsley second, probably out. Bluebloods. Colin looks like he's out. Valerio fourth looks like he's going to be. He's the favourite now.
Yeah.
And you know, so you look at the top 3 of the cup, and they're all not there. But the beauty of the cup is at 8th place. Mother Duckett has come.
I mean, and to be fair, she got there by the skin of her teeth. You know, Rufus Reds, we were talking about earlier, not having the best of leagues, but that close to actually getting into the top 8. It was tantalising on that last game week of the league. And to be fair, Mama Duckett, she got it. So all credit to her.
Yeah.
But did she stop and say, I made the top 8, I made the knockout stages, that's good? No. She thought, fuck it, I'm going to win it.
Language.
Sorry, if those kids win it.
That's right.
We might have to bleep me out on that.
That's right, the ambassador will bleep you.
But she thought, no, I'm going to win it. And look at her. She destroyed me. I've been top of that league for most of the season. But no, that didn't matter to Mama Duckett. She's gone and she took me out. Now she's after, who's it, Blue Blood? So she's after Colin. At the moment, it looks pretty much
dealt with.
Guaranteed, unless something ridiculous happens. I don't know if he's got many Arsenal players.
Basically, I think he needs Sanchez to get a hat-trick and other things to go his way tomorrow night. So
as Arsenal fans, we pray that happens too. But it looks pretty much like Mama Duckett is going to be representing.
It's going to be an All Barnes final as well.
Yeah,
and then that would be an interesting. Would Richard have possibly let his dad win just because he's already got the league, or would have been so that would be an interesting.
That would have been an interesting one, but I don't.
It's nice. It's nice to have 2 people. Valerio, a former champion, but also somebody new to the league to compare. It's great, and it's an American flavour to the. It's American competition, isn't it? What you're top doesn't matter. You're 8th. You're in. You're in.
Yeah, 1 takes 8th. Yeah. That's what dreams are made of.
And she just qualified last. She qualified by goal difference.
Yeah.
So unbelievable. But yeah, so that's it. Might be a good idea. I don't know whether you want to get your phone on the.
I think we should. Let's have a look. Shall we try and make it a bit of impromptu?
We've talked about him at the beginning. We've talked about it.
Let's talk to the champion and commissioner. I think he deserves. He's a triple champion. I think he probably deserves to have his voice heard. Let me just bring.
I know the ladies want to hear him speak as well.
Well, I kind of want to hear him speak as well. To be fair, so I think...
By the way, we're not talking about Hugh Grant, okay?
Well,
we're not talking about Hugh Grant. And I know even when you start speaking on the phone, you're going to think he's Hugh Grant. But he's not going to be, okay?
No, I'm just
very soon.
Are we still?
Hello. Is that Richard?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, who's that?
You're live on Skell and Turk show. Please do not swear.
What, live live.
You're live.
You're speaking to the viewers.
Well, yeah, hi. Hi.
Look, I told you it'd be Hugh Grant. It's not Hugh Grant. It's Richard.
Yeah, I know he sounds like it. So, Richard, first thing I want you to say.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing?
But yeah.
What's up, boys? How you doing?
No. You do your bumbling posh guy thing. It's fine. It's good.
I just do my normal voice.
Yeah,
Normal
that's
voice,
fine.
that's it, good.
So, Richard, just quickly off the bat, welcome to the show. What are your feelings on pretty much being sealed as champion?
Do you think it's done? Do you think I'm a champion now?
I think over 100 points with 1 game week to go. I think it should be done by now, shouldn't you?
Well, there's a potential as Sanchez blossoming with a Ramsey love affair on Wednesday night could make it to 60 maybe.
Well, have you not got Sanchez then?
No, I haven't got Sanchez nor Ramsey.
Wow. So what are you saying? Because if Sanchez gets 2-3, Ramsey gets
Is he your
2-3.
captain?
Sanchez is my captain. So
if
no, don't do this, Richard. Don't
Right.
give me hope.
Right,
Right?
okay, so
I've
the
just
person-
completely given up. Right. I'm ready for the summer. Don't do this to me.
I will speak from the man that actually doesn't have a chance of winning it. If Sanchez does an Aguero and gets 3 goals and a couple of assists, and Ramsey pops up with a goal and a couple of assists, that could bring it down to
50.
To 50 points. And then it's all about captain's choice. Then it's all about captain's choice on the last day. So, Richard,
I don't want it to happen.
I do like what you're doing here. You're taking the pressure off yourself, just in case the unthinkable does happen. And the thing about Sunderland, they do like a good, smacking. They do like getting smashed. So,
Go on.
I'll let you speak,
It's a
Richard.
possibility. It's a possibility. You've got Sanchez playing. He could get 3 goals. That could happen. Or even 3 assists. Ramsey could get a double. It could all go in your favour.
Well, I just want to add right here, Richard, out of all the times we've been speaking, and we've been speaking for about half an hour, and the last couple of weeks, that hasn't entered his little mind yet.
I literally haven't thought about the league in weeks, and I know what you're trying to do, and you're trying to rip out.
Well, that's just a possibility, And to be fair, that's probably cost me my cup game this week because I was a little bit on a holiday. I hadn't really thought about a team. I was packing my flowery shirts, my shorts, a straw hat.
Did you kick a football in someone's head? Did you kick a football in somebody's head because you're on your holidays?
That's an outrageous red card, by the way.
He could have caused permanent bodily damage.
I just want to ask right here, just going off topic just a little bit. What would have happened, do you think, if he hit a Chelsea player?
Nothing.
That's my point. A great bit of skill, never mind, but like, getting back on
It's a ridiculous. Anyway, but it's a ridiculous decision. But at the end of the day, he's on holiday now. He can relax.
Yeah,
and they deserve it. All the Chelsea players.
And to be fair,
and you can relax, as well, my friend. It's over. I know you haven't made the cup. Actually, you. I'm writing you out of the cup. You're still only 12 points behind Valerio. So actually,
yeah. But I don't know what I was doing. I didn't even pick Sanchez. It was I just didn't really think properly. I overthought. I don't know.
Your decision this week went back to our conversation the other week in Bristol, where you were almost missing it. The days when you'd pick complete randoms and just follow your heart and just be like, yeah, I like his face. You're in. And
Wickham and Larson. I don't know why. Larson.
Because Richard, may I ask?
Larson.
Richard, may I ask? The league is pretty much it's pretty much sewn up, the league, so that's fair enough. And you must, like you say, you're in holiday mode. But didn't you want the cup as well? Didn't you still have that fire in your belly to make a league and cup double? Because obviously, self-admittedly, you didn't give much attention to the double week for the Arsenal players. Did you not have that in the back of your mind?
I'm always aware. This year, I put aside a little bit of time, not too much time, but my objective was go away, travel, reflect, come back, and win the league. And mission accomplished in a way.
Well, you'll find that we covered that exact thing.
We did.
We think if you want to win the league,
that last year, at the end of the year, I said I'm going to go away, and I got an ejected. Barnes strikes back. It's been evil. I haven't, rubbed up against the people the wrong way. I found it kind of arousing. People found it irritating. But it was a successful year. From week one, I was joint top with Ish. And all the way to the end,
yes.
I've been top.
I mentioned that as well, Barnesy. I mentioned that as well.
Barnesy, while you're here, I just want to ask you, on week 30, when Papa Youssef got within a couple of points and me and Ish were sniffing very closely behind on about a dozen or 20 points behind you, did you have doubts then, or did you know that you had a Charlie Austin in you?
Hashtag week 30 was, it was terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying. That night when I looked at the league and at one point Naz was top, but then it went down to a bonus point when she got deducted a thing or something like that. Yeah. And there was 1 point in the lead and Ish and you were 20 points behind. It was officially a 4-horse race.
Yeah.
And what saved me, I guess, was I went Charlie Austin, you went on the stag do, and that was a turning point probably.
Yeah.
You guys went Harry Kane, you guys had to get a flight across.
Yeah, that's fair.
I was a little bit like, Sanchez hasn't scored for ages, but I trusted in him. Oddly, now I haven't trusted in him. And is he going to come back and haunt me? Big man, is it?
Maybe. So maybe.
I just went for it. But you're right, week 30 was a huge turning point. And I think I had 7 game weeks in a row where I always got more than everyone below me.
Yeah. But wouldn't it have hurt, though? That probably didn't scare you, the fact that you'd been, like you said, top for 29 game weeks, and to lose it in the last couple of weeks, did you think that was a motivation? I know Charlie Austin was a gamble, but did you always know you had it in you to pull away again, which you've done? But you've done more. You've done it in the last 6 weeks. You're further away from us now than you ever have been, and that's only in 6 or 7 game weeks.
I just rallied. I rallied. I put some fighters in there. I put Benteke. I put Austin in there. There's some names where people, originally didn't really think of till a little bit later on.
I know it's obvious, but
in the beginning,
you made the perfect subs at the perfect time and picked the perfect captains, and that just did it. And you took advantage of everyone maybe getting a little bit too confident, thinking actually it's a matter of time till we go through Barnes, because actually we'd been gaining on you like sort of 7-8 weeks in a row, just trickling.
Oh yeah, you guys have played amazing.
It was good.
I got lucky. I had a lucky start where I think whoever has a good start is a bit of luck. You know what I mean? I picked a lot of players at the beginning which got lucky.
I'm not having that, Richard. I'm not having that, Richard, because who's first week 1? You. Who's first now? You. Who was second? Me. Who's second? Me. I'm not having the luck thing. I think the beginning is so important, and it just gets you on the right. It means you don't have to rethink your team. It means you don't even have to consider a wild card. Yeah. It just means you can concentrate, and And what happens? People who are 10th, 11th, 12th just puts pressure on them.
But then I think Richard has a point in certain respects, because in the first 5 game weeks you didn't have your Harry Kanes, your Charlie Austins, your Danny Ings. You didn't know the cheap players that were going to be the best performers. So you had to take a bit of a leap of faith. So I do understand where you're saying at the beginning you just had to go with your gut, because you didn't know what players, like the year before it's Southampton players, you could pick any of them and they were all relatively cheap and playing great. But this year it was a bit difficult. We didn't have a Suarez. We didn't have someone that was going to guarantee us points, so we had to think a little bit outside the box.
Yeah, I think I feel quite proud of. I think maybe me and Ish, I got Harry Kane at 4.8, and when he was valued at, and I trusted him. I played a lot of youth this year as well, blended in with a lot of experience in the fantasy. And,
good balance.
But what about for you? How important do you think your Chelsea players have done this year? Because the first half of the season,
Fabregas and Hazard,
they were
both. You were the first person, but then you changed them at the right times. You had Hazard, and then you swapped.
I had Fabregas at the beginning of the season, and then I decided, and it's a bit of luck. I decided as a percentage that Chelsea haven't won a penalty yet, so I'm going to drop Cess. Because I made money, I bring in Hazard, because it's all about making money at the beginning of the year, so then you can invest. And, Hazard was cheap. I only went, but I didn't go by actually Hazard's playing well. I just went, Chelsea haven't got a penalty yet, he's due.
Yeah, but
and then 1 week later, he got a penalty against Arsenal.
Therefore,
that's when momentum happened.
Therefore, your definition of luck is absolutely wrong, because luck would be picking the names out of a hat, something like that. What you did, you thought about it, and you considered it, you looked at the variables. It was a kind of Valerio. It was a Valerio-esque manoeuvre, Richard.
Oh, that's controversial.
Yeah.
Are you thinking that you're?
Yeah, well, Valerio is like, he's one of a kind, and he's the RC Wenger. You know, he sort of changed the way we think, haven't we?
Yeah,
it's changed.
It's changed football forever. So, I mean, who? So you obviously mentioned Kane earlier. Who else? You know, player-wise, have you felt was a staple
Well, I
into?
think, like, Angel Di Maria at the beginning, I captained him out of nowhere. I feel like I brought in Pella at the right time.
Yeah.
That's
stuff
great.
like that. You know, like I got him when he was on form, and I got him before he got on form as well. That was a little bit where that bit was luck. Like, I'm just going to go for Pella this week, and it paid off, sort of stuff.
Well, I'll ask Richard.
But to be honest, I guess my mentality at the beginning of the year was don't do many transfers and win your cup games.
Yeah.
That's
I wanted
fair.
to get the
Richard,
I want to get the top 8. So I was always looking at a bit of both my cup games. You know, like I want to win that. I want to get in the top 8. But yeah, that's what me, you, and Skell kind of nailed on throughout the year. We were always going to qualify. Obviously, Ish had a rocky start at the beginning, but from then on.
Yeah, didn't I?
but he sorted it though. He sorted it and finished in the top half of the cup league anyway. But may I ask, Richard, is there anything in this league, because you've had a near flawless league by being pretty much top? Well, you have been top since the beginning. Is there anything that's disappointed you, either what you've done or things that didn't quite go as what you would have liked?
Or even underperformers, maybe. You know, anything like that.
Did you expect better challenges? Did you expect us to be closer than we were?
No, I think the challenges here was immense, really. I think there was the biggest gap. I think for a long time with 4 teams, there's a gap below. There was no one below us four.
Yeah.
And Ish's dad who could ever win it for a long time, probably since Christmas in a way.
Yeah, that's
So,
fair.
That's kind of what happened this year for the first time. There was just 4 teams only could win it, and then I pulled away at the end, which kind of, I guess, made it a bit boring for some other people. But that's why the great thing about the cup made it interesting. But yeah, that's kind of. I feel like I'm right. Like, I don't really care about overall ranking in a way. I think it's kind of boring. It's all about the mini league.
That's good. That's good.
But I looked at that this year. I just looked briefly the other day. I looked at my points total to this year's. Last year I got 2,180 odd, and that got me 4th, and I think it was a comfortable 4th. This year I'm just under. I'll be lucky to hit the 2,000 barrier, so I'll probably about maybe 250 points shy of what I was last year. But I should possibly get 4th, maybe 5th. So I'm relatively staying the same level, but losing a big percentage of points.
I would say, actually, the reason for that wouldn't be an increase or decrease in performance. I'd just say that's Suarez.
That was my conclusion, that we didn't have a striker that would be in your team, because every striker this season, if you correct me if I'm wrong, has had dips. You know, Aguero had a big dip, and then he's come back into form. Harry Kane started ridiculous. Now he's had a bit of a dip.
But even the top players, like Hazard, had a dip for a few weeks. He didn't do much.
Yeah.
Sanchez, I'm not being funny. Second half of the season, Sanchez, you know, he hasn't been. Yeah, so I think that's why, if you look at the top players, nobody has absolutely walked away with it. I mean, Costa would have probably got a lot more points, but actually injuries have obviously stopped that.
But there's no top player at the moment that's got Costa or thought he'd come back and put him straight back.
There's no easy picks at the moment. You're not really.
Well, last year you had 3, didn't you?
Yeah.
You had 3 players that would be in your team, irregardless. It would be Torre, Hazard, and Suarez.
Yeah, Torre as well. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there wasn't even that sort of. No, you're spot on about that. I think, I guess for me, like a few areas, I guess was I had trust in Theo Walcott for like 4 weeks.
I think we all we all thought that he would come back, get games, and get goals. To be fair, but it just Wenger hasn't played him, or he hasn't been good enough yet. Don't know, but he has been a disappointment because he's a midfielder that would guarantee you goals, and I think that's why.
You guys, what about Skell? I think you've been proud of this year.
To be fair, I've been most proud of the cup, believe it or not, until last week. I think I've been pretty solid in the cup. I managed to take each week pretty strongly with everybody I played. The league, I've always been there and thereabouts. I never quite felt I had enough to win the league this year. I didn't think my picks were quite as good as they should have been. So my biggest disappointment is not challenging harder for the league, because even if I've only been 10, 20 points behind you, I've still been a few points behind Ish or a few points behind Ish's dad. So that's my biggest disappointment, that I haven't really given you a really good challenge.
No, you should be proud of yourself.
But I'm proud of the cup. I think even at the end of the year, I don't win the cup. The fact that I won the mini league in the cup, that was pretty pleasing for me. I think I'll find.
Yeah, you did well there. Yeah, I think you've been unlucky as well. Like some game weeks, like West Ham conceded a last minute goal. Some of your defenders have conceded last minute. A lot of points have added up where you've been unlucky.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a couple of weeks. I did have quite a few because West Ham had a great start of the season, and I was reaping the benefits of Downing. I mean, Downing was just like my saviour at one point. But yeah, West Ham have kind of seeped in the second half of the season, as have I.
So while we're talking about actual players, then shall we all sort of pick 2 or 3 players next year who we feel may be the points monsters? Like, you know, how do you feel? Like, which, you know, and it can be somebody who's the same as this year, so, you know, it doesn't have to necessarily be anyone new.
Before that, pick your worst and best player this year.
God, worst and best player. My best player has probably been it's either Silva or Kane. I'm just going to pick those because I kind of stuck with them most of the season. I know I think I got Kane.
When I think of Silva, I think of you.
Yeah. I think Silva because I think not many people had him. Interestingly, and he's
kept him. You've kept him. You sort of
and I had him when he was at his peak. I had him, and so I'd say he was my best.
What about your worst?
My worst, God, there's so many. There's so like Sturridge. I know I got him in, and then he got 7 points, and then he got injured. Luco, you know, what's the point? I think for me, I got quite. Those sort of low point midfielders didn't really pay off for me this year. Those little gems that you can get sometimes. I'd probably go for like a Sturridge maybe, as somebody who I kind of had faith in, and didn't really pay off. Yeah. What about you?
I think my 2 best players. It's hard to pick one, but I'll pick one from each half. The first half of the season for me, like I've just said, is Downing. I thought Downing, to begin with the season, he was just having the season of his life. So, and I had him for pretty much most of it. So I was reaping the rewards of that.
And I think, you were definitely probably the only one that had him as well on the top.
Yeah. The second half, and I'm picking these maybe not because they're massive point scores, but because I thought they were differentials. So Downing was definitely a differential for me that was getting amazing points. I think the second half of the season, for me, has been Santi Cazorla. I think he was getting assists. I've had him pretty much throughout, and I've had him as penalty take. I've had him, and he's been penalty taking. He's been assisting like anybody's business. He's had a great second half of the season, basically like Arsenal, and I again had him pretty much for all of that. So they've probably been my 2 best players. Worst player, again probably 2. Hutton for Aston Villa. He got some points. He did get a goal or 2.
It depends when you had Hutton.
I had Hutton for the most of the first half of the season. Yeah. And the second half, probably Colaccini for Newcastle. I mean, I can't afford to get rid of him because he
probably lost points for you.
Yeah.
Like negative.
But I couldn't afford to replace him, and he didn't give me enough money to go replace him with another crap defender. But he's been in there, and he's minus points for me. But I just want to give a big shout out actually to my goalkeeper, the West Ham goalkeeper. I've forgotten his name, and I want to give him a shout out. Adrian. He's conceded goals, but how many penalties has he saved this year? He saved penalties.
Unbelievable.
Interesting fact though, best goalkeeper of the year, Mignolet. Most points goalkeeper, Mignolet. Remember that. I have to go. I forgot one as well. Ozil was probably my worst player as well. I had him for a lot of weeks, and even though he was playing well, he's one of those who doesn't get you points. He gets the assist of the assist rather than the assist.
That horrible stat, key passes, it don't really matter.
So it's bad. What about you? I guess we've spoken about.
Probably my worst player probably was Adebayor.
Oh, I don't think there's any competition in that.
I don't know why. Week 3, I think I used my first transfer probably the year was Adebayor, and I captained him.
I bet you were berating him
against West Brom, and they actually lost that game as well.
I bet you were berating him like Ron Atkinson style, weren't you? You know what I'm talking about.
What about your best player, Richard?
don't know if I've got a different. I've enjoyed having Heaton in goal. He's had a couple.
Oh, Heaton, mate. Heaton, yes.
Yeah, that's such a good shout.
I've enjoyed having Heaton. There's something about you sort of. Even the one time the day before, I think it was week 32, I predicted he would save a penalty.
Really?
And then, would you believe it? He saved the penelty.
What
So that was a good moment for me.
And you had Pele for a lot. Pele was a good one for you as well.
Richard, I just want to say right now.
My favourite player was. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No. Tell us your favourite player.
Probably, it sounds boring, but it was Sergio, because the best thing was, for some reason,
we all dropped him. Yeah.
And Ish all got rid of him, and I just thought, well, thanks.
Yeah.
And look what he did.
That's
probably one of the performances of the season for you and him. I just want to add
position all the time. Aguero, it's opened up in front of him. And he passes his
So, quickly, who do you think is going to win the cup?
Valerio.
Yeah.
Or do you mean Arsenal Villa?
Oh no, the real cup.
Oh well, if we're talking about the real cup,
Valerio.
I thought that mean Mickey Mouse Cup. My heart says Mama Duck it, because she beat me, and I always want the people to beat me to be the champion. But yeah, it's probably gonna be Valerio. He's gonna outstat.
Yes, mate. It's been a big pleasure. Thank you very much for joining the Skelly and the Turk show this season. It's going to come to you monthly next year.
Thank you for this year, guys.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Brilliant.
And just
it's been a great title challenge, and thank you. 3-time elite. I'm almost emotional.
Triple elite, mate. You've deserved it. You've been the man. And next year, to be the man, you've got to beat the man. And at the moment, you are the man. So well done, mate.
Thank you. It means a lot to come from you guys. It's an honour to be on the show. I've always wanted it. I've watched it for many years now.
Well, you know what? We thank you for being here. We obviously want you here in person next time. We're going to do it monthly next year, so hopefully there'll be opportunities for you to come on. But I just want to reiterate what Ish said. You've led from the front. You've never looked back. And it's been a pleasure being in the same league. So
and I'll be honoured to be in the Barnes Classic once more next year.
Yeah, so all we'll say is look. Go on.
I was just going to say, it could be a possibility as a Joseph Classic. I'm just saying, I'm just throwing it out there.
And on that note, I'm not having any of it. I'll see you later. And Godspeed, mate.
Bless, guys.
Champ, you are the champ.
Thank you.
Take care, Richard. Thanks, mate.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Bye. So that was Richard W. Barnes. Yeah, and I think we're coming up to the hour mark now. So
it's a long. So we will probably carry on, and we'll probably get bits cut out, which is fine because we have an expert editor. But
to finish the season, I'd like to introduce you to a Cuban friend we have, which Skelly got back from Cuba, obviously, and I just feel it's a perfect time to light this up, not only for Richard, league winner, not only for Valerio, cup winner, but for everyone, all you minnows out there, everyone who's just had a go, who just looks at their TV, computer screen every now and again, just gets that rush when a player comes to them and they think, do you know what, this could be my week.
That Saturday afternoon when that player gets that goal and you need that point, or when that referee gives that penalty and you know who's going to take it, it's a great moment.
It's a beautiful.
And this is for that. When we have those moments that we all do on a Saturday, when we're taking care of, we're looking at games that we don't normally care about, and we're seeing it and we're like, yeah, that is a great moment. It brings more knowledge. It brings football to its best. That's what this is about.
So please, be good to each other. Have a good summer. Don't be too depressed that there's no football, no international football, and that we're just going to have to watch tennis and other sports. But at least it's going to start a little bit earlier next year. So until then, guys, Victory Cigar. I hope you all smoke cigars with us, even though, on this don't smoke, obviously. But
and all I'll just say very quickly is, Ridgie, Naz, sort your life out. You need to do better next year. You need to be up there challenging. We want it to be a top 6 next year. You know what mistakes you made. Sort them out, and we look forward to seeing you next year. Because
and just put the kids aside.
Put the Tipper. There's no excuse for that, mate. She's born now, or is it a she or he?
It's a Tipper.
The baby's the Baba Tipper's born now. So you've got no excuse not to pay enough attention to this. We want you up there. We want this to be a competitive league. On that note,
see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Till next season.
My life has got to be like this. It's got to keep going up.